someone borrowed $30,000 from your parents and never told anyone, not their spouse, not their siblings, nobody, and then sat at the dinner table acting wounded when you brought it up, would you have stayed quiet? Because I didn't. And now half my family isn't speaking to me and the other half is texting me things like you had every right and I can't believe you did that. Same event, completely opposite verdicts. So I genuinely want to know, was I wrong? Okay, let me back up. My name's not important. What matters is there are four of us: me, my older brother Derek, our younger sister Priya, and my parents, who are in their late 60s and recently retired. My dad worked in logistics for 35 years, and my mom did bookkeeping part time. They're not wealthy, comfortable, but not wealthy. They've got a modest house, a modest savings account, and they are the kind of people who genuinely cannot say no to their kids, which is something all three of us have probably taken advantage of at various points, myself included. I'll own that. Derek is 42. He's got a wife named Sandra, two kids, a house in the suburbs, and this image he's been cultivating forever of being the responsible one, the one who figured it out. He sends dad links to financial articles. He lectures Priya and me about our retirement contributions. That's the Derek context you need. Priya is 36, I'm 39, we're close. We talk every few days. And about 6 months ago, Priya mentioned very casually, like it was old news, that Derek had borrowed money from our parents. A lot of money. She'd overheard Sandra mention it to someone at a family thing, she said. I filed it away. Didn't know if it was true, didn't know the amount, didn't push it. And about 2 months ago, my mom pulled me aside at her birthday lunch and told me herself. $30,000. Lent to Derek and Sandra 18 months ago to cover a business investment that went sideways. My parents told no one. Derek asked them not to. There was no repayment timeline, no interest, just gone. And here's the part that made my stomach drop. My mom mentioned, very quietly, that they'd had to delay a plumbing repair in their house because money was a little tight right now. $30,000, and my parents are delaying a plumbing repair. So I sat with that for weeks. I talked to Priya. She was furious, maybe even more than me. She said, if mom and dad need money and Derek has $30,000 of theirs, we should know. And I agreed. But I wasn't planning to blow it up at Sunday dinner. That was not the plan. The plan, if I had one, was to talk to Derek privately. Except Derek made that almost impossible. Every time I tried to get him alone or float a conversation about mom and dad's finances, he deflected. They're fine. I help them all the time. You don't need to worry about it. And meanwhile, at this particular Sunday dinner, the one that became the dinner, Derek started in on Priya about how she should be contributing more to take care of our parents as they get older. He used those words, contribute more. He said Priya should think about helping with their expenses, maybe offering to cover their utilities or set up some kind of monthly transfer. He was completely serious. He was sitting there having borrowed $30,000 that he hasn't paid back a cent of, and he was telling our younger sister she should be chipping in more. I watched Priya's face go completely flat. She looked at me. I looked at her. My dad looked at the tablecloth. And I said, and I want to be fair to myself here, I wasn't screaming, my voice was calm. I said, Derek, don't you think that's a little ironic given the loan? Silence. Full, immediate, terrible silence. Sandra put her fork down. Derek looked at me like I'd just announced something obscene. He said, what did you just say? And I said, the $30,000, Mom told me. He turned to my mom. My mom looked like she wanted to disappear into her chair. And then he said, that is none of your business. And I said, it kind of is when you're sitting here telling Priya she needs to give more. After that, it was just chaos. Sandra said I was attacking their family. Derek said I'd humiliated him. My dad asked everyone to calm down. Priya said nothing, which almost made it worse. Derek and Sandra left before dessert. He hasn't called me since. Sandra sent me a text 3 days later that said I had exposed something private and that I should be ashamed of using their financial difficulties to score points against Derek. And the thing is, I've read that text probably 40 times, because score point stings, because maybe there's something true in it. My parents had told me in confidence. I used it, in a room full of people, at a dinner table. Was Derek being wildly hypocritical? Yes. Did I expose something my mom told me privately to make my point? Also yes. Priya called me that night and said, I'm glad you said it, but I'm also glad I didn't. Which tells you everything. My dad hasn't said much at all, but he did say, gently, that he wished I'd found a different moment. A different moment. Not that I was wrong, but a different moment. And I keep turning that over. Because here's the thing I can't shake. My parents are delaying repairs on their house. They're in their late 60s. And Derek is telling Priya to contribute more. At what point does a secret stop being private and start being a cover for something unfair? I still don't have that answer. A few weeks after the dinner, I found out through Priya that Derek has apparently started making small monthly transfers back to my parents, quietly, no announcement. Whether that's because he always planned to, or because the dinner happened, I genuinely don't know. Maybe both, maybe neither. So here's where I land or don't land, really. Derek was being breathtakingly hypocritical. My parents are being taken advantage of, even if they'd never say that word. But I use something told to me in a private moment, in a room full of people, to win an argument, or call out an injustice. I genuinely can't fully separate those two things. And the fact that Derek is now paying them back doesn't tell me whether I was right. It just means something changed. So I'm asking for real, am I the one in the wrong here? Honestly, though, what would you have done? Drop it in the comments. I actually want to know.